On Monday, October 21st, after a lengthy debate and with a margin of just 30 votes, town meeting adopted an expansive plan to comply with the state's MBTA Communities Act. This state law requires multifamily zoning by right near transit stations. Non-compliance would risk the town's eligibility for certain grant programs and could lead to legal action from the state attorney general. Needham's compliance deadline is the end of the year. Municipal producer Yushao Yuan reports.
Following over a year of drafting and outreach, the town presented two proposals to town meeting members. They were first asked to vote on the base plan, and if approved, then consider the more extensive neighborhood housing plan as an amendment. Both the Select Board and Finance Committee supported the base plan, which modestly increases density to the existing zoning to meet the requirements of the MBTA law. However, concerns over traffic prompted town meeting member Glenn Mono to propose capping the number of units allowed under a special permit in the Avery Square Business District.
We want to be sensitive to the potential burden on neighbors. When this facility was last in operation, employees and residents that could drive were frequently observed cutting across Highland and using Morton Street as a cut-through. This occurred many times a day. Since this building shut down, the amount of cut-through traffic was reduced significantly. And neighbors are legitimately concerned that an uncapped development on this small plot would only return them to being a major cut-through, but actually would be worse than before.
Under both the base and neighborhood plan, the district allows up to 189 units by right, a number that satisfies both the planning board and Welltower, the owner of the vacant property on the site. With a special permit allowing up to 4 stories and a floor area ratio of 1.7, the district could potentially see over 300 units. Mono's proposal sought to reduce this number to 227 units. Despite similar concerns from some members, town meeting ultimately rejected Mono's amendment and overwhelmingly passed the base plan. The more extensive neighborhood plan, however, faced stronger opposition. The Finance Committee led the charge against it, with John Connolly cautioning, quote, "We should learn to walk before we try to run."
The Finance Committee believes that these significant increases that the base compliance plan will bring to the number of new multifamily units in our town, along with all the new residents and all the new students, are more than sufficient for our town to attempt to accommodate at this time, when our schools are full as they are, and when our town's infrastructure, our roads, our stormwater management, our sewer, our water, our traffic, and our town's services are as burdened as they are. In other words, we have more than enough on our hands in dealing with the many challenges that the passage of the base compliance plan will bring to us.
Connolly also called for a full build-out analysis instead of focusing on the likely build scenario.
If any assumptions used in the modeling should change, such as interest rates going down, or construction costs leveling off, or federal or state government subsidies for the construction of multifamily housing being introduced, then the full bill projections could be reached, and much sooner than later.
The neighborhood plan could potentially yield over 3,000 units. However, the Home Committee, who spearheaded the drafting of both plans, emphasized a likely build scenario of 1,200 units, using this figure to analyze impacts on school enrollment. Heidi Friel, co-chair of the Home Committee, spoke on behalf of the Select Board in support of the neighborhood plan, stressing the need for more housing options for senior residents, local employees, and young adults.
We can plan for it, we can monitor it, and we can mitigate it with thoughtful process and oversight while we face dynamic variables. But leadership means meeting the urgency and acting rather than delaying decisions while we search for information that isn't available yet and will only be available in the future. The challenge is to move forward, making thoughtful decisions based on the information we have while understanding that we might need to adjust. The next step towards Needham's future is the neighborhood housing plan. We can act now to shape the future we want for Needham.
Opponents shared the Finance Committee's concerns. They also questioned whether the plan would indeed lead to more affordable housing choices.
There's nothing in reviewing these zoning pages, in all of this zoning, the way it's written, that will bring us affordable housing, workforce housing, or senior housing. We're in fact leaving it up to the developer.
I've heard about businesses. I want to have a vibrant business community too, but there's nothing in this plan that's going to say a worker is going to be able to live here. I'm sorry. You know, it's a much bigger problem than that. Like, you're going to have to think about wages. I'm sorry. Like, it's just reality.
Eventually, the neighborhood plan passed in a hand vote, with 118 in favor and 90 opposed. It's worth noting that under the town charter, registered voters have a 20-day period to file a referendum petition to repeal the decision. A similar situation occurred earlier this year in Milton, followed by a lawsuit from the Attorney General, which is now before the state Supreme Judicial Court. In addition to the neighborhood plan, town meeting passed all the other articles on the warrant, including $150,000 for planning the future of the Stephen Palmer Building and relocating its current tenants, as well as $3 million for the construction of 8 tennis courts at the high school. For Ningdom Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.